Peter Griffin has chugged enough booze to drown a small town. But how much exactly? Let's find out. Peter's drinking adventures never stay small for long. This time, a simple movie night turned into a complete disaster. Peter and Brian were headed out for a relaxing night. At least that was the plan. They were going to see a movie, something normal people do without causing chaos. But of course, this is Peter Griffin we're talking about. He wasn't just walking to the theater. He was practically dragging Brian like a toddler late for daycare.
All right, come on, hurry up, Brian. I don't want to miss the movie trivia slides before the movie.
Of course, Peter treats trivia like the main event. He's the guy who claps when the plane lands. By the time they made it into the theater, Peter was way too excited for a grown man. He acted like he hadn't been outside in a decade. Brian, ever the voice of reason, well, drunk reason, tried to just enjoy the movie quietly. But Peter had other plans. Plans that involved smuggling alcohol like it was prison contraband.
Hey, Brian, you want a drink?
You snuck in liquor?
Yeah, it loosens me up so I can talk to the people around me.
Because nothing says let's make friends like unsolicited chatter and a flask in the dark. Things only spiraled from there. As the film played, Peter and Brian descended into full-blown wine and chaos, laughing too loud, slurring opinions, and doing everything short of running a karaoke machine in the aisle.
Hey, I already seen this movie. Let's talk about other movies we've seen.
That's an excellent idea. I like the madness of King George.
Classic Peter. Shows up drunk, forgets where he is, and reviews a completely different movie out loud. They kept the party going. Loudly, proudly, as if they were the only two people in the theater. Which technically they weren't, but spiritually, they had taken over.
Shut up! Hey, I'm not the only one talking. That big guy up there on the screen's been talking through the whole movie.
When you're so drunk, you argue with the fictional character and think you're winning. By this point, the movie was less of a screening and more of a hostage situation for the other guests. Peter, still under the impression he was the hero of this story, decided to escalate things by yelling at the movie screen like it owed him money.
Stop blocking the screen, you jerk! I don't think you heard me, buddy. Step away from the young lady.
Peter Griffin, ladies and gentlemen, the only man who gets blackout drunk and ends up in a fantasy novel. And then, because things weren't chaotic enough, Peter physically ripped the screen. That's right, he tore the screen open like it was a bag of chips. Naturally, that's when the cops showed up. And who better than Officer Joe to walk into this dumpster fire?
We got a report of a disturbance. Oh, what the hell, Peter?
Joe, thank God, there's a situation here.
Peter's idea of a situation is a boo-boo. Joe's idea, public destruction and probable jail time. Surprise, they didn't just walk away with a warning. Peter and Brian were dragged into court, where the judge probably had deja vu from every other Griffin-related crime spree.
Mr. Griffin and Mr. Griffin, this court finds you guilty of creating a public disturbance and destruction of private property.
When the judge uses your name twice because your nonsense takes up 2 seats in court, their punishment, 30 days in Alcoholics Anonymous. Yes, the one place on earth that takes itself seriously, and somehow Peter was now involved. What could go wrong?
This one time me and Joe and Quagmire made a bet to see who could drink the most beer and still drive. And you know that water slide in South Attleboro?
Because nothing screams role model like turning DUI into an Olympic sport, the room fell silent. Not because they were inspired, but because they were horrified. Peter wasn't just telling a story, he was confessing a felony, like it was a bar joke.
Peter, it sounds to me like alcohol is a very destructive influence in your life.
Translation, you're a mess and only God or a miracle can save you. Back home, Lois asked the responsible question. How'd it go? She didn't expect Brian to unload like a man who just escaped a prison riot.
29 more and we're done. That's how it was.
Well, that doesn't sound like the right attitude.
Brian's emotional depth, 0. His patience for group therapy, also 0. Next meeting, Peter walked in like Oprah. If Oprah handed out beer instead of wisdom.
Hey, anyone in the house addicted to alcohol?
The fact that the group knew to greet him like that says everything. Someone eventually decided to bring order to the chaos. Spoiler, it didn't work.
Mr. Griffin, alcohol is forbidden at our meetings.
Peter's brain. Rules exist only to be challenged, with more beer. And what did Peter do next? A motivational speech. Yes, seriously. But instead of talking about hope or healing, he basically told them how to drink sneakily.
Yeah, you all stopped drinking because you were hurting your loved ones. But you can't hurt them if they don't know you're drunk.
The meeting quickly transformed into a frat party. Laughter, noise, probably a drunk conga line. Naturally, the police caught wind of the ruckus.
Oh no, there's a policeman coming.
All right, everybody, you know what to do. Alcoholics, transform!
Because nothing hides your alcoholism like pretending you're Transformers. Eventually, the party died down. People staggered out like it was 3 a.m. in Vegas. Peter, he was ready to head home. Driving.
Nah, I think I'm just gonna go home.
All right. You okay to drive?
Oh, yeah, I'll be fine.
Yes, because nothing keeps you awake at the wheel like baby music and no ventilation. Shockingly, that didn't work. Peter passed out while driving, and what followed was a spectacular car wreck. It was so bad, even he didn't believe what came next. Peter found himself face to face with death, and death was over it. Death doesn't sugarcoat. He also doesn't care for your excuses. But death gives Peter a chance to look at the mess he'd made while he was alive. Spoiler, it wasn't pretty.
All right, family, line up for cigar burns.
Ah, yes, the heartwarming family tradition of cigar burns. The tour of Peter's sins wasn't over. They took a detour to the workplace. Let's just say it got uncomfortably revealing. There are workplace relationships, and then there's whatever that was. In the end, after seeing just how awful he'd become under the influence, Peter finally learned a lesson. Maybe not the deepest one, but hey, it counts. At least until the next episode resets everything. Peter learned that drinking too much causes big problems, but knowing Peter, he probably forgot this lesson by next week. It all started like any other day with Peter and his crew, Quagmire, Joe, and Cleveland, hanging out at their usual bar where wisdom goes to die and beer flows like water. Peter, being Peter, decided to try some hot sauce and instantly regretted it. His face turned bright red like a tomato in a sauna. Naturally, Quagmire saw an opportunity for stupidity.
I'll give you $10 if you drink an entire shot glass of that hot sauce.
Let me see the money.
You don't believe I have $10?
Ah yes, peer pressure and $10. A powerful combo when your brain is marinated in alcohol. Peter chugged the hot sauce like a fool on a mission, realizing people would pay him to act stupid. He lit up with joy. Soon he became a walking dare machine, throwing away his dignity like it was on clearance at a garage sale.
I got one. I'll give you $10 if you wear the same pair of underwear for a month.
Pay up. Actually, you owe me 20.
When even your friends would rather overpay you to stop, maybe you've gone too far. By this point, the whole group was completely wasted and operating on zero logic. Cleveland, still sipping his drink like it held the answer to life, gave Peter one more dare. Peter tried to raise the price because apparently he thought his services were in high demand.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna upping my price to $12.50.
Classic Peter, trying to rebrand himself as a high-end idiot. Then because nothing says great idea like being drunk at midnight, the group came with a new bet. This time it involved opening a fire hydrant and having Peter drink from it, like an animal. Or a very determined goldfish. While Peter was out there flooding his insides like a basement in monsoon season, his family back home was watching TV. What they saw in the news left them stunned, embarrassed, and probably not that surprised. Some people leave a legacy. Peter leaves a trail of broken buildings and bad decisions. The town had enough. Thanks to Peter's water-chugging, wall-smashing behavior, the mayor made a bold move. Raised the legal drinking age to 50. And just like that, Peter's life fell apart.
What? I can't drink anymore? What am I gonna do?
Peter trying to live a sober life is like a fish trying to ride a bicycle. But don't worry, he had a backup plan. Brian, the family dog, technically counted as over 50 in dog years, so they used him to buy the alcohol. A bunch of grown men hiding behind a dog. Peak maturity. Because when your alcohol comes from a talking dog, the next logical step is drunk carpentry. Peter's drinking got so bad that the whole town had to change the rules. Even when laws change, Peter always finds a way to keep drinking. After Peter's old boss passed away, things at the office took a weird turn. Instead of hiring one new manager, the company brought in 2 new bosses because clearly 2 people mismanaging things is better than 1. Their first idea? Reassign everyone to boost office efficiency, which obviously meant giving Peter the weirdest job possible.
We want you to be the office recyclables guy, so we're gonna put a flag on you.
Because nothing says corporate progress like turning a grown man into a walking recycling bin. So now Peter was walking around the office with a flag on his back while co-workers chucked empty soda cans at him like he was some kind of garbage parade float. And of course, they didn't bother to empty them first.
Well, at least make sure all the liquids are gone, please, before you throw them.
Peter, now sticky and humiliated, begged for some dignity, and maybe a napkin. But just when he thought things couldn't get worse, his bosses reassigned him again. This time the job actually sounded kind of fun. Taste testing seasonal beers? Signed Peter up.
We need you to taste test our new varieties of seasonal beers, which will be coming down this conveyor belt.
Unlimited beer at work? Finally, a job Peter was born to do. That same conveyor belt wasn't just for beer. Oh no, it also doubled as the company's urine test delivery system. Peter's face said it all. Yep, taste test 1 minute, pee handler the next. It's like a disgusting surprise party. Later, Peter's bosses were having a serious meeting about market shares, businessy stuff Peter never paid attention to, when they realized Peter was in the bathroom at the same time. Because of course he was.
What are you doing?
Playing a game on my phone and having a beer, and God willing, going to the bathroom.
Peter Griffin, multitasking champion in the restroom and proud user of company Wi-Fi. Instead of firing him, the bosses had a genius-level terrible idea. Use Peter's awful behavior as part of their branding. When being gross actually lands you a promotion, only Peter could fail upward this hard. Peter agreed, obviously. Next thing you know, he was starring in commercials, doing street interviews, and living the celebrity mascot life. He bragged about it constantly.
Oh, it's the best. Everywhere I go, people recognize me and love me. And the other day, I even got to hang out with a bunch of other famous mascots.
The only man who feels proud standing next to a dancing cereal box and a guy in a chicken suit. Now a local celebrity, Peter took Brian with him to some beer festival to do more promotion. His job was simple: drink beer and tell jokes. And surprise, he was great at half of it.
I was up on the roof because you told me drinks were on the house.
Ladies and gentlemen, the face of beer, clearly intoxicated and making dad jokes in public. Peter turned his love of beer into a paying job as a mascot. Only Peter can make drinking look like a career move. Peter Griffin and his friends were just sitting around when they heard some exciting news. The Pawtucket Patriot Brewery was giving people a chance to win a lifetime supply of beer. All they had to do was find a silver scroll inside one of the beer boxes. And of course, Peter lost his mind.
Imagine seeing the inside of the Pawtucket Patriot Brewery.
His friends crushed his dreams faster than he could crush a beer can on his forehead, but Peter didn't care. He stormed off to buy beer like a man on a mission. Hours later, he stumbled home completely drunk, still carrying 2 boxes of beer like they were his newborn twins.
Have you been drinking?
Why, yes, I have. Thank you.
Peter, everyone's favorite mailman of beer-based chaos, just casually admitted to drunken house hopping. Lois, of course, wasn't thrilled, but Peter tried to explain why this squirrel hunt was so important to him. He told her about how people in town had been drinking way too much, and some even died chasing the prize. Then he tried convincing her to drink too. That went about as well as expected.
Peter, I'm not drinking this.
Okay. All right.
Yes, he literally made cartoon sounds while trying to walk away. Very subtle, Peter. By the next morning, Peter and Brian were still drinking, still yelling, still trying to power through boxes of beer like it was a college party. No sleep, no food, just beer. Their livers probably started writing goodbye notes. Eventually, their buddy Joe found a scroll coin. Peter was devastated. As he wandered the streets in defeat, something caught his eye. Something shiny in a pile of trash. Because obviously important prizes are always in the garbage. Cue the dramatic music as Peter sprinted like a chubby superhero who just found a golden cheeseburger. Meanwhile, Lois was stressing out over a local piano competition. She wanted her music students to help her win a trophy, but none of them were ready. Just when she was about to give up, drunk Peter wandered in and started playing the piano like a pro.
Peter, that's incredible. I don't understand how.
Drunk, half-conscious, and somehow still better than her entire class. And believe it or not, that drunk piano solo actually worked. Lois won the competition she had dreamed of winning for years, but the victory didn't feel so sweet when she realized what Peter had put himself through to get her that win. Well, at least they have a shiny trophy, and a husband with maybe 6 brain cells left. Peter drank so much that he became a piano genius by accident. His wife got a trophy, but Peter lost most of his brain cells. Meg Griffin, who usually gets less attention than a forgotten sock under the bed, decides she wants something big this year. Instead of the usual awkward cake and no guest, she shoots for the stars, demanding a party and a live band.
Mom, Dad, I decided I want a big party this year with all my friends. And maybe a band?
Peter and Lois agreed like they were half asleep. Of course, they immediately forgot the entire conversation. It takes Chris, yes, Chris, the human goldfish, to remind them what's going on. And just like that, the panic sets in. Good parenting strikes again, last minute and poorly planned. Now begins the most important question in the Griffith household. How old is Meg again?
I don't know.
Well, my God, Lois, I thought you were the one keeping track of that.
No, I have no idea.
They've known her for 17 years and still treat her like a guest who showed up one day and never left. So, using the same logic they use for cooking chicken, just guess and hope, they assume she's turning 17 and throw together a super lame party. Yeah, Meg, appreciate the clown level effort your dad put into digging out preschool party supplies. To fix things, Peter shows up dressed like a filthy drunk hobo clown, because clearly nothing says happy 17th like sad face paint and whiskey breath. Then because it's Peter, he jumps on a unicycle and decides to ride it down the stairs. Genius. One for Grandpa, one for Peter's brain cells. If they were still alive. Grandpa Francis gets rushed to the hospital, barely breathing. And just before he goes, he leaves Peter with the warmest fatherly words imaginable.
You're a fat, stinking drunk.
Francis died as he lived, disappointed in his son and brutally honest. Peter, completely crushed by this insult from beyond the grave, promises to quit drinking for good. His replacement? Smoking crack. Because sure, that's an upgrade. Brian, trying to save what's left of Peter's sanity, sends him to a hypnotherapist. There, Peter unlocks a shocking memory. Francis once told him he wasn't his real dad.
I'm not your father.
Oh my God!
Suddenly, Peter's entire brain is like a Netflix docuseries, full of dark twists and repressed drama. He runs home to his mom, who casually drops the next bomb. She had a one-night stand in Ireland 40 years ago. So naturally, Peter grabs Brian and heads straight to Ireland to track down Daddy Mystery. They arrive in McSwiggan Village, which looks like a postcard titled Welcome to Drunktown. Everyone there knows Peter's potential dad, Mickey McFinnigan, the town's proudest drunk. They find Mickey at Wifey McBeaty's tavern. Peter tries to bond with him, but Mickey shuts him down instantly.
Oh no, I don't want money. I just want to get to know you and be friends.
Mickey clearly hasn't looked in a mirror or heard Peter order 6 beers for breakfast. So how does Peter prove they're related? With a drinking contest, of course, because nothing says father-son reunion like a liver-destroying showdown. Goodbye fake dad, hello beer bloodline. Peter never looked prouder or more pickled. Peter found out his real dad was just as big of a drunk as he was. Like father, like son, they both love beer more than anything else. It all starts with something very important to Peter Griffin, control of the living room TV. Because heaven forbid anyone else gets to pick a channel in this house.
Hey Meg, what are you up to?
Not much. Just finished an angel food cake.
Translation, Peter's bored, possibly drunk already, and now trying to flirt with rodents. Sounds about right. Lois is also in the mood for a little peace and quiet, so they come up with a truly genius parenting plan. Trick Meg into leaving the house so they can enjoy alone time. What could go wrong?
What? No, I want to see you have fun. Come on, you should go.
Peter keeps pretending it's about Meg having fun. But really, he's just desperate to watch TV without anyone asking him questions. So Meg ends up crashing the party, standing in a corner like someone who accidentally wandered into the wrong universe. She tries to make conversation with the cool kids. Spoiler, it goes as well as her social life usually does.
You guys talking Big Bang over here? Big Bang Theory? No?
That was so awkward. Even Siri would have backed away slowly. But then Meg stumbles across the real star of the evening, the drink table. One sip turns into a few. The next thing you know, she's showing off skills she didn't even know she had.
Meg, come on, don't go crazy.
Damn, that's hot.
Wow, Meg's so good at casually tossing bottles over her shoulder so they land upright.
Drunk Meg is suddenly cool Meg. Who knew alcohol came with social skills? Meanwhile, back at home, the drinking doesn't stop. Meg starts sneaking drinks regularly, which doesn't go unnoticed forever. Lois finally catches her mid-sip and does some mom-level connecting of dots.
I don't want you drinking or your life's gonna go down the crapper. That's not bad.
Lois serving serious warnings while Peter's likely passed out under the kitchen table. Lois demands Peter talk to Meg and set a good example. Huge mistake. Peter's idea of a life lesson is taking her to the Drunken Clam. Yes, a literal bar.
Well, I can't talk to a drunk person if I'm sober. Hey, Jerome, can I get a beer, please?
Parenting tip from Peter. If your kid's drinking, drink with them so it feels less awkward. Cue the karaoke, cue the beer, cue the father-daughter drinking duet that nobody asked for. Next thing they know, they wake up in the middle of the ocean. Why? Because drunk logic.
Dad? Dad, wake up!
What happened?
I don't know.
Meg is now seasick, sunburned, and hungover. Her first hangover is hitting her hard, and Peter, well, he tries to help in the weirdest way possible. By the end, Meg vows never to drink again, so mission sort of accomplished. Peter, however, remains totally oblivious to how messed up this whole thing was. Peter took his daughter drinking, and they woke up on a stolen boat. This might be the weirdest father-daughter bonding trip ever. At the Pawtucket Brewery, Peter Griffin is living what he thinks is the dream. Free beer, no real responsibilities, and a job that involves walking around and talking nonsense.
Giving tours of the brewery. And Peter, I've chosen you for the job.
Peter reacts like he just won an Oscar for most likely to drink on the job, because who better to give brewery tours than a guy who's blacked out more times than he's read a manual? The gifts are confused, the facts are wrong, and Peter is basically doing stand-up drunk.
We have pants available in the gift shop.
A fun fact that literally no one asked for, but okay, pants and pilsners, why not? Things take a weirdly serious turn when Peter is told he'll be giving a private tour to a special guest, none other than Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Peter attempts to stay professional for about 5 seconds before Brett starts chugging beers and ignoring the script, which naturally makes Peter love him instantly.
Yes, we got to experience what it's like to be beer.
And we drank our own pee in the can.
Peter's idea of bonding, pee jokes and hallucinations. At least he's consistent. The two instantly hit it off like frat boys on spring break. Drinking, shouting, and possibly inventing new ways to damage their livers. Next morning, Peter wakes up in a sea of beer cans with a hangover that sounds like a lawnmower in his brain. Just a typical Griffin Tuesday. Wake up, fear you killed a federal judge. Peter finds a note. It's from Brett. Dramatic, cryptic, and weirdly enthusiastic about clothes. Somewhere a PR team is sweating bullets trying to spin this. And just like that, Peter stumbles off with applause, a group hug, and one last crime, stealing beer from the Supreme Court's fridge. Because priorities. Peter's alcohol tally is wild, numbers no one should be proud of. Like, share, and subscribe to witness the madness.